What's going on, fishy friends? Crazy Horse back at you with another regional fishing report. Tonight we have Captain Jamie Thrappas with us. He fishes with Yellow Dog Fishing. Um, the regional fishing report is just another show that's on the Fishing Channel. And if you have a fishery that you'd like to see reported, please reach out to us at admin@thefishingchannel.net. I'm going to bring in Jamie now, and we're going to talk a little bit of fishing. What's going on, Captain Jamie? How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. Yourself?
I'm doing really well. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is, well, first of all, I appreciate you guys having me on the show. Thank you very much. My name is Captain Jamie Thrappas. I own and operate Yellow Dog Fishing Charters, Daytona Beach, Florida. We do a little bit of inshore, near shore. We fish the inlets, run up and down the beach, chase a variety of fish. Um, Pretty much stay busy year round. I know in different areas the fishery is seasonal. It is here as well, but we do fish year round.
Cool. So how does Yellow Dog Fishing? How does someone get involved with that? How does someone contact you, book a trip, and what can they expect when they fish with you?
Easiest way to find us is to Google us. It's www.yellowdogdawgfishing.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Instagram.
Can you say the website one more time?
It's yellow and then DAWG dogfishing.com.
Cool. Got it.
And we fish for a variety of fish, man. It again varies, throughout the season, but we do fish year round. Mostly a target redfish, snook, tarpon. We do cobia. We do nearshore trips, chasing the shrimp boats, a lot of shark fishing, going after, just about anything that'll bite, to be honest with you. And then we move inshore. We focus on flounder, on sea trout, mangrove snapper. It's not uncommon in a single day to catch, 8 to 10 to 12 different species of fish.
That's what I was about to ask you. In a given year, how many species of fish do you think you might catch?
Dozens, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Dozens.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what's happening right now. And maybe talk a little bit about the area that you're in. I know you were very specific about that when we were talking about it, because Florida is such a huge fishery. You can't just say East Florida, right? You got to break it down.
Yeah, so I'm Central East Florida, Daytona Beach area. To be even more specific, it's Ponce Inlet is where I run probably about 80 to 90% of my trips. It's where the river and the ocean meet, similar to any other inlet up and down the East Coast. Um, this time of the year, it's summertime. Things are hot, so the best fishing is going to be early morning or late afternoon. We get our flounder move in off of the reefs, the near shore, like the near shore reefs. They come in and they fatten up all summer long before they move back out to spawn. So we're mostly, I'll focus on flounder quite a bit this time of the year. They're obviously pretty tasty. They get bigger as the season goes on, or at least thicker. But right now it's flounder, redfish, and our mangrove snapper bite is really good in the summertime, which is another tasty fish to take home with you.
Awesome. So let's talk about the flounder bite. What are your techniques right now? What are you doing tackle wise, and what are the tips that are gonna get that fish on the boat?
Well, the number one thing that I do is I use a lot of live bait, especially in my charters. Using artificials in a charter, there's a lot more casting, a lot more snags. So to be more productive, we use live bait. Our number one bait for flounder is a mud minnow. It's just a little small minnow. They're hard to kill, so they're very durable. They'll last a lot of casts, and you know for days they'll stay alive. But mud minnows on a short fluorocarbon leader, maybe about a foot long, with the egg sinker. I know up north you guys call them Carolina rigs. Down here we call them fish finder rigs.
Right.
So it'll be an egg sinker on your main line, a swivel, and then about maybe a foot and a half at the most a leader, because you want that bait to be close to the bottom so you can kind of bounce it around and find those fish. But mud minnows, or we have finger mullet, which are like we have mullet. They range in size, but the smaller they are, about the size of your finger, about perfect size. Those work, extremely well. And then last thing is live shrimp. I mean, everything eats a shrimp. The biggest thing with flounder is they're a little tricky to catch. Everybody wants to get that bite and yank on that hook, and it's pretty much the exact opposite is what I try to teach my customers. You feel that thud, or you feel like it's a little bit heavy, you actually take the tension out of your line. Give that fish a minute to take one more bite of that bait, and he'll get that hook in his mouth. And you still don't set the hook. You reel in real slow. Probably the biggest technique I can tell you for getting fish in the boat is don't try to flip them in the boat. I lose more fish from customers trying to flip them in the boat. Just leave that fish in the water and let me or somebody else on the boat, somebody's with you on your boat, net that fish, and you'll get a lot more in the cooler that way.
Funny, we were just talking with a captain in South Carolina, and he said almost word for word the exact same thing that you said about flounder and circle hooks and what have you. Jamie, you talked a lot about bait just now, which is a perfect segue into something else that you have going on. You opened a tackle shop recently, correct?
That's correct, bud. We just opened up Yellow Dog Bait and Tackle. It's in the northern part of Daytona, a place called Ormond by the Sea. We sell live bait, artificials, hard plastics, just about anything that you need to go fishing. We're fortunate enough to have it. It's my fiance and I, Deidre. We opened it together, but we're fortunate enough to have a boat ramp about 50 yards in front of our front door. So,
man,
we expect to be pretty busy.
And where does that boat ramp dump out into?
Into the Halifax River, more specifically the Tomoka Basin. Again, that's the northern part of Daytona. It's kind of crazy from where our shop is to where I fish at is only about a 15-20 mile difference, but the fishing is completely different. We're talking about where my charters are. It's a lot of moving water. It's inlet. It's deeper water, more sandy bottom. 20 miles north where my shop is, it's more mangroves and flats, and muddy bottom. So you actually fish differently only 20 miles away.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that was one of the things when you and I were talking pre-show is, the importance of being very specific about the area that this report is for, because, how differently you fish different areas. You talked a lot about mangroves and you brought up mangrove snapper. That's a delicious fish to eat, man. Can you tell us about, what your techniques and strategies are going to be, other than just finding a patch of mangroves?
So, you'll find them in the mangroves. Really, the bigger fish, you're going to find them in your channels and your deeper holes. They like to, especially in summertime, as the day goes on and it gets hot, they go down a little bit deeper. Most of the fish you catch around the mangroves are going to be undersized. Our mangrove snappers need to be 10 inches to keep. They recently lowered the per person catch from 10 fish down to 5 last year, but still 5 fish makes more than enough for a meal for one person. But again, similar rig, you can do the fish finder rig like I just mentioned, or just almost free line it. I tie my braid directly to my fluorocarbon and just put a split shot or a pinch weight on there and kind of free line it into that hole with the current. And they're aggressive. So the thing is with those, it's a kind of a numbers game. You'll go if you're a little overexcited, you're going to go through a lot of bait. You're going to reel in a half of a shrimp every time. If you let them hit it more than once or twice, and again, use a similar technique, just kind of lift up and reel on them, you'll produce a lot more fish. But it's almost impossible to not find them. You put a little bit of time in, and they're there. They're there in abundance.
I feel like you're speaking directly to me based on our last trip to Florida, where I pulled in a lot of half shrimp, man. A lot of half shrimp.
It can get frustrating.
Yeah, we're going to do some future shows. You mentioned from your tackle shop, and you talked about shrimp and pulling in half shrimp. Based on the species that you're fishing for, how do you hook your shrimp?
That's funny. For the longest time, I was a head hooker. It's been in the last maybe year and a half. I've kind of switched it and I hook them in their tail. Guys do it all kinds of ways, man. I see them bite their tail off. I like my bait to look as natural as possible. I want it to be alive and jump. Fish feed 3 ways. They fish from scent, they fish from sight, and they fish from vibration. So if I can have my bait doing all 3 of those things, I feel like it's only helping me. I find when you hook them in their head, if you don't hook them just right, you'll kill your bait. They'll still jump around for a little while, but hooking them in their tail, they seem to last a lot longer. You can get more cast out of them if you want to change where you threw your bait or you had a bad cast. So as of late, I've been instructing everybody tail hooking seems to produce the best. And it's funny too, because you'll tail hook them and you'll reel in a whole bunch of, fish or a whole bunch of shrimp bitten in half and the tail's there. So people are like, well, I'm going to head hook them. The next thing you know, you're reeling in a half a shrimp and it's just the head there. So
Yeah,
I think it really just comes down to being a little bit patient and letting that fish get that whole bait in its mouth.
that's good stuff. Lady C and I, last time we were down there, I guess we were a little bit further south of you. We were using a skimmer jig. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a
I'm not
really
familiar with it.
flat-headed jig, and it
Okay.
weighs like 1/16 of an ounce, and it's got like
Okay.
some bucktail hair on it. And using that and hooking it through the tail of a shrimp and
Okay.
just kind of popping it along was really effective for snook. But do you guys
Oh,
get
yeah, for
snook as far
snook,
north
yeah.
as where you are?
Yes, in abundance.
Nice.
Kind of funny. Our snook population has came back like roaring. Snook are very temperature sensitive. Right where we're at in Florida, we're pretty much the freeze line. So we get an average anywhere from 6 to 12 frost a year. People may not think this, but I've actually seen flurries in Daytona Beach more than once.
Whoa.
However, if we have multiple nights from a cold front that pushes far south, our snook go lethargic. They float on the surface. Some of them die. But the ones that don't die that are on the surface, they unfortunately get eaten by predators such as dolphins and sharks and even redfish will eat those juvenile snook right off of the surface. So years ago, we had a pretty cold winter and our snook population got hurt pretty bad. But in the last 5 years, it's kind of hard to not catch one.
Global warming isn't always a bad thing for fisheries, I guess, right?
Right.
So, going back to your bait shop, Yellow Dawg, is it Yellow Dawg Tackle? Is that correct?
Yellow Dawg bait and tackle. Yep.
So what do you guys specialize in there?
So where we're at is kind of unique. There's not a lot of bait and tackle shops in that part of our county. So we, more or less are a small outfitter. Some shops, some bait and tackle shops just sell hooks, sinkers, weights, and, some live bait. We sell a little bit of everything. You know, we have the good, better, best reels, good, better, best rods. You can come in and you can buy a combo if you want. If you're just there for a week and you forgot your rod and go fishing.
Yeah.
We have surf fishing gear. The beach is only maybe a quarter mile east of where we're at. So we're on the barrier island. So we have the river right behind us, and then we have in front of us, maybe, like I said, a quarter mile, we have the beach. So we cater to mostly inshore. The inlet is kind of far away from where my shop is, so we don't have a lot of offshore gear, but we'll have all the tackle, all the live bait, and again, anything else that you need for a day on the water, or even if you're about to fish a tournament, we'll have whatever gear you need, the high end stuff for you as well.
Cool. Can you give us the address of that? I think the moderator
Sure.
can type that into the chat for us.
Yeah, no problem. It's 35 High Bridge, two different words, 35 High Bridge Road, Ormond by the Sea, and that's ORMOND by the Sea, Florida, 32136.
Perfect. So, anything else about what's going on in the fishery in your area that you want to talk about?
Nah, man. Again, it's just summertime. Everything's biting. I mean, literally, you could target any species that you want it right now. The tarpon are moving in, which always gets me a little fired up. They usually show up right, late spring, early summer. They get super thick by the end of the summer and the fall. Snook are chewing like they're going out of style. Unfortunately, we have 2 seasons for them. Our season just ended the last day of May, and it'll open up again September 1st. But you can at least scout your spots and see where they're sitting at. So as soon as the season opens back up, you'll know where to go. The redfish.
Your season down in Florida, does that mean when snook season is over, does that mean you can no longer target them, or that means you can no longer harvest them?
You just can no longer harvest them. You can target them. Yep.
Yeah.
And we have 2 seasons for them, a fall season and a spring season. Typically I do, I catch a majority of my bigger fish in the fall, but you'll get some monsters in the spring too, if you know where to go. But yeah, the redfish bite is really turning on right now. They're feeding as we go into the fall. All of our bull redfish will are start schooling up, and we can talk more about that in a later show. But that's pretty much my favorite time of the year, September through November. It's I'll wear you out.
So right now, you know, we have a few minutes here. Right now, if you're on Yellow Dog fishing on your boat, and somebody wants to catch redfish, what's your approach?
So this time of the year, I would probably take you to the inlet. We're going to fish outgoing tides. We're going to fish, again, live bait. I'm going to use, we have a bait that for the longest time we kind of kept it on the DL. That's our secret bait, but everybody uses it now. And you guys have them up north. I think they even get bigger up there. We use small hand-sized croakers. We call them croquane. The redfish just can't seem to stay away from them. We also use a fish called a pigfish. It's a grunt is what it is, but they're juvenile grunts. And again, these fish make noise, so the fish can see them, they can smell them, and then now they can hear them. We also get them on large, we call them select shrimp. They're the larger shrimp. And if for whatever reason the fish are being timid and you're marking them, cut bait. Put that cut bait out there, cut mullet, cut ladyfish, cut bluefish. If they're being timid and you put something down there that stinks, they're going to eat it. But yeah, I would, my approach right now would be to take it to the inlet. We look for the fish on our finders, on our side scan, kind of see where they're staged up at. Well, we get ahead of them in the current and just, put the boat on iPilot on spot lock and just feed our baits back down to them on the bottom. And then, just get ready to hold on.
I have one last question. You're a Maryland guy, and first of all, I know a lot of our audience is sort of Maryland, Mid-Atlantic folks, and a lot of you guys travel down south to get away from some of this cold weather in the winter. So Captain Jamie here is a Marylander from Dundalk, correct?
That is correct. Yep, I moved to Florida when I was 18.
Yeah. You brought up mud minnows. Is that the same thing there as it is up here?
Yes, sir. Same exact thing. Yep. They're they don't get too big. I don't even know what the actual name of them are. I probably should do a little bit of due diligence, so I'm not just speaking in layman's terms, but yeah, they're the same minnows that we use up north.
Okay. And one more time, we missed the tackle shop address. I want to make sure that we have that in the chat so people can refer to that. Can you give that to us one more time?
Sure. It's 35 High Bridge, 2 words, High Bridge Road, and that's Ormond by the Sea, and Ormond is spelled ORMOND, Florida 32136.
Guys, if you're in the area, if you already live in the area, if you're traveling down in the Daytona Beach area, hook up with Jamie. We've got his information there. The name of the tackle shop, boom, is right there. Phone number is 386-366-3424. Obviously got a wealth of information, and if you're from this mid-Atlantic region, you're supporting a native Marylander. Jamie, you're the man. Thanks so much, buddy. I really appreciate you.
I have one last comment, man. Anybody
Sure.
that is going to come down from Maryland, bring me a crab cake.
I think they can handle that, man. Although, I think the real sharp crabbers around here are saying that we're running out of crabs so they can have more for themselves. But I think that's one thing we're never going to run out of on Maryland is good old blue crabs and crab cakes. But brother, you're the man. Thanks so much, and we will see you next month. And if you're here for the Florida Central East Fishing Report, we will see you guys next month as well.
Young, just hang around. Too proud to be your fool. You said no thank you when I tried to.